Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host Gary Holden. With me is head wrestling coach Nate Yetzer.
Hey Gary,
welcome back.
What's going on?
All right, let's talk a little bit about last week. Boy, you guys looked impressive against Spartanburg Methodist.
Yeah, guys wrestled really well. I think they, it's nice to be at home and it's easier to get up for the match.
Sure.
And you're ready to go. So guys wrestle really sharp. They're kind of in their first year of a new coach. He'll do a good job down there at Spartanburg Methodist. Our guys wrestled. They went out and they wrestled hard. That's all I asked for. So they did a great job.
Well, you had a nice mixture. You had had 5 upperclassmen, but you had 5 freshmen that started for you.
5 freshmen starting for us. Yep.
Were you pretty pleased with their efforts?
Great. I mean, they all got the W, but more than that, they all wrestled hard, and they made some adjustments from the week before, which I think is good. Hunter Goulart, A4, started off a little slow, but once he got his feet moving, he really opened up the match, and I think he ended up getting the major decision.
Exactly,
yeah.
Let's go back and start with the beginning of the match. You had they didn't have a 125 pounder, so you ended up getting a forfeit there and everything. How did going at 125? You had Justin Zimmerman and everything. He's projected as one of your stronger wrestlers. He's coming down from 33 this year. Do you feel like he's going to have a pretty good year at that weight class?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's still figuring out, figuring out the weight, making sure. Kind of getting down to a science a little bit. It was a struggle a little bit because he's a lean kid anyways, and then getting down 25, which I think is a better way for him. I think he's, it's going to help him a lot, especially being on top. He's a lot stronger there, and he can muscle kids around a little more than he did at 33. So I think it's a good way.
The 4-point criteria change, going
which helps him.
For the back points and everything.
Yep.
That's got to be something. He's strong on top. You only got to hold it for 4 seconds now to get 4, as opposed to before you had to hold it for 5 seconds to get 3.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it helps him tremendously. And I think he's just got to make a great effort to get on top. Get a takedown in the first period.
Sure.
Work to turn on top. Then. The same thing in the second or third period when the kid picks down. So.
How much of a factor will this be? Most kids typically take bottom. How much of a factor will this new rule be with kids who might feel like, this guy's really strong on top, I don't know if I want to have a chance of giving up before? Because really, let's face it, one set of back points now could very well be the difference in a match.
Right, absolutely. I think it's, exactly what you said. It's huge. It really opens up the match, I think, a lot more when you can score 4 points. If you could be up 6-0, in a college match, it's hard to come back. 5-0 is hard. Now 6-0, it makes it a pretty big gap.
And you don't even have to work as hard to get that 6-0 lead as a 5-0.
Exactly. Yep. So it's an okay rule. I think it's going to help us, but I think it just makes it a little more confusing. I think
Sure.
So, but they're trying to eliminate that count that maybe going on that a 5th count.
Right.
That's what it sounds like they're trying to do, but I don't know why they changed it.
We'll see how long that rule lasts.
Right, yep.
All right, let's move on to 133. Robert Cunningham, he wrestled the other day, got a 9-4 decision.
Right.
How did you think he looked at that weight class?
He looked pretty good, and the kid wrestled really hard. Their whole team, Spartanburg Methodist, wrestled really hard, and they challenged us, and Robert needs to get back to his leg attacks, and once he started attacking. He did a lot better job. So he just got to really believe in his offense, and he's a guy that's still kind of figuring out his way too.
Sure.
Being up at 33, he's got to wrestle with a lot of energy, a lot of motion, and when he does that, he's dangerous. So.
He's got bigger kids at that weight class, but then again, he's a lot bigger at that weight class as well than he was at 25.
Yeah.
And he just looks like physically he's very imposing at that weight class.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's grown into it, very well. Heck, he wrestled the #1 guy in the country, defending national champion last week at the Monarch. And he got to the kid's legs. I'm not even sure the kid got to his legs at all. But Robert got to his legs really deep twice, just couldn't finish. And that's obviously something he needs to work on between now and hopefully when we see the kid again. We won't see him in regionals. Wilkes out of our regional now, but that's a great barometer where he is. So he'll wrestle, I think, 2 ranked kids this weekend. So good test for him.
We're going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit the Mount Union duels. All right, let's move up to 141. You had a kid that made that weight class for the first time.
Right.
He did fairly well. Colin Saunders.
Yep.
He looked very strong on his feet and everything. Looked like a good, solid weight class for him. It's his first time making that weight class, though. Has it been a struggle for him?
Wrestle-offs, he made it as well.
Okay.
The Monarch, he did make weight, which obviously you're not happy about. But I really would have liked to see how he did there because he would have wrestled some really good guys there. But we're back on track. And he's just got to control his weight. And it's a freshman mistake.
Sure.
Waiting for the last minute to kind of get it down. But he looked sharp. He looked exactly what I thought he was going to look like coming in. Just really good on his feet. He did a good job on bottom, getting away. And he worked hard on top. So he's making adjustments, doing a great job. So that's what I like to see.
Probably one of your biggest weight classes on the team this year is 149.
Yep.
You had a freshman go last week, but you got a number of wrestlers and everything that go
Right.
as well. Talk a little bit about the performance there and that weight class in general.
Yeah, I think Tolbert had a great weekend at the Monarch. Andrew Tolbert had a great weekend at the Monarch Invitational, so we threw him in the lineup as a freshman, and looked really good. I mean, the kid fought really hard, and Andrew scored at the end to get the major, and that you love to see that,
Right.
especially at a freshman. Sometimes freshmen are happy just getting the win. But Andrew went out and dominated and got the major.
Right.
And anytime you get a major in college wrestling, that's a big deal,
Right.
especially as a freshman.
And I think he scored, if I'm not mistaken, he scored a couple times right at the end of the period,
Exactly,
and that usually kind of breaks a kid down
Right,
when you're
right.
giving up points right at the end, 2, 3, 4 seconds.
That's just
to go.
smart wrestling. That's smart wrestling,
Yep.
and then you're right. It breaks the guy a little bit. So Paul Biggs, he's a guy that gets better as the year goes along.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a great showing at the Monarch, wrestled okay, but below it, I think his standards, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he'll get to wrestle again at the Mount Union duels.
Good.
So that they'll split some time based on health, and Sean Bridgeforth is finally healthy. He'll be thrown in there as well too. So it's a pretty deep weight class for us.
Good. All right, let's move up to 157. You've got another tough weight class.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, Logan Meister ended up winning the Monarch Invitational, but he had to face one of his teammates, Josh Alston, in the finals. As a coach, that's got to be pretty good feeling for you to know that you have two of the best kids in that weight class and everything.
Yeah.
And Meister got a quick pin when we wrestled last week against Spartanburg Methodist. Talk a little bit about that weight class itself and everything at Ferrum. It just seems as though you're stacked right there, and one of them could potentially even go up to 165.
Right, absolutely, yeah. That's maybe the thinking down the road, but I think both are they're still competing for the spot at 57, and obviously Meister right now has got the upper hand, but Josh has looked very, very good. He's put up a lot of points. I'm not even sure he got scored on at the Monarch Invitational besides Meister in the finals and overtime. So he looks really good too, and they'll both get to wrestle at the Mount Union duels, and they'll keep battling it out until a time where we feel like maybe one of them could help us out at 65 more. So both doing a great job. So
all right, let's move up to 165. You had Kendall Cherry.
Right.
Ended up having to have an overtime match
Right,
to claim that victory and everything. How did you think he looked?
He looked good. I think he gave up a stall to send it in overtime at the end of the match. Or I think he maybe gave a takedown. I'm not even sure, but he sucked it up. As a freshman, I don't care how you win. As long as you go out and get the W. And he was exhausted.
Sure.
He didn't look great. Didn't look sharp. But he went out there and he sucked it up in overtime and got the takedown. So,
it's a tough thing when you're tired after 7 minutes of wrestling. You got to go out there and face another 1, 2 minutes.
It shows a little bit of toughness, which you like to see. So
good. Yeah, as a coach, it's got to be exciting for you to see a kid, just get through a match and pick up the win.
Right. You found a way to win. So.
Yep. All right, let's move up to 74.
Yep.
At 74, you had that was the weight class where you had was that Hunter Goulart there?
No, Blake Rosenbaum.
Blake Rosenbaum.
Yep.
Another strong performance there.
Absolutely.
Strong on his feet.
Yeah, he just goes after it. He just he wrestles with reckless abandon and just goes after guys, and I think it overwhelms guys. And that kid was totally overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah.
By his intensity.
The match was 4 or 5 minutes, and in the end, Rosenbaum ended up pinning him.
Yeah,
I think the kid's will was just broken towards the end. You can kind of see that.
Exactly. That's how he wrestles in practice, though. So it's no surprise.
A grinder.
Yep, exactly. Yep, just he'll wrestle. He's all over guys, and it gets him in trouble sometimes. But the positive that outweigh the negatives, because we can clean that up as the year goes along. So.
Sure, it's hard to teach people how to be aggressive. Right. You got to have that animal instinct and everything.
Exactly.
He went out there and he was tearing into that kid.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Good. All right, 74. This is where you had your big guy at 74 and everything, Hunter Goulart.
Yep.
How'd you think he wrestled?
I thought he wrestled really well. He was conservative at first, and that's why the match was somewhat tight.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he really started moving his feet and being offensive instead of being in a square stance, kind of being defensive. Just standing there, that's when he gets in trouble a little bit. But when he starts moving his feet, he's really good. He got a lot of different attacks, and he's really flows really well on his feet. And I think when he wrestles like that, he's very good. But obviously, he's gonna have to be in shape to wrestle like that for 7 minutes and to beat really good guys.
74 and 84 have been weight classes in the last couple of years where there's kind of been some question marks as to who's going to go where, how we're going to do, and everything. You've got to be fairly pleased. 2 freshmen step in there. They both placed 5th at the Monarch Invitational last weekend, and then they both come up with fairly decent wins here. A pin and a major decision. Going forward, does that kind of settle your mind about those 2 weight classes?
Absolutely. I think down the road, further. I think Blake's always going to be a 74. I think who knows what happens, but and then 100, it may go up eventually, But I think as a coach, you're really happy that you got those guys for the next 4 years. They're hammers, and they set as freshmen. I'm really impressed by as freshmen. They set the tone in the room as far as work ethic, and not only them, but other guys too. But as freshmen, you like to see that guys push each other in the room. And, they do everything they're asked of, and that's why they're having success right now. So.
All right, 97, you had Adam Fitzwater in there. Fitz is up 2 weight classes. He wrestled 74 for you last year. How did you think he did at that weight class?
He wrestled well. I mean, you can see he's starting to get a little more attacks, which is important. And I think the weight suits him better than at 74. Where as far as you guys are a little more offensive, I think. 97, there's not as much attacks, I don't think. So I think it suited him better, and he wrestles where he's good. He's good on top, so that's where he wrestles, and a lot. You like to see more attacks, but I think he's getting there, and he'll figure it out. So
I noticed when he was on his feet, he didn't allow himself to get caught underneath a bad shot. He made sure he was off to the side, didn't get himself caught, because now it's a big difference having a 197-pounder guy sprawling on you than it is a 174-pounder. So. Absolutely.
I mean, we got some adjustments to make there, and we obviously still have Adam Bresson there too as well. So they're going to be competing for that spot for, I think, a large part of the year. So.
Gotcha. All right, how about heavyweight? Tate Delaney, right now he's been your only heavyweight. You're picking up a couple as now that football.
But we have Tyreek Nolan, who's been out, but he's cleared now, so he's going to wrestle.
So he's able to wrestle, and you're picking up a couple football players, guys that'll be back in the lineup and everything for this year. Talk a little bit about how Tate wrestled that day.
I wrestled well. Wrestled really good. Just went out there. I think we need to work on shape a little bit, get in better shape, but he did a great job. I mean, he went out there and it was all over the kid. I mean, he got to the kid's legs several times. And I think they only saw him once or twice, which is a little ridiculous. But, he was, imposed his will on the kid and controlled the center of the mat. And, wrestled like Tate does, smart. He wrestled smart. So.
I noticed the referee during the match was continuing to say, work in, circle in, and the kid was riding the edge, so Tate would just back right to the middle and kind of invite the kid, let's go, this is where it's supposed to take place. And I felt like he really wanted to be in the match. He was trying to be aggressive, took some nice shots, and the other kid was very wary and continued, even after being warned by the official, continued to kind of slide towards the outer edge there, played that zone.
Exactly. Which, the new rules, you should be hit for stalling, if the kids do playing the edge like that. So, but Tate did a good job. He's another guy that just is about all in and doing the right things. And it's hard to chase somebody, without making mistakes. Chase them off the mat. So he did a great job. So.
And he had a great weekend last week up at the Monarch Invitational as well. Lost an early match. What match that he felt like he really shouldn't have lost. But he comes all the way back and places third.
He beats that kid for third and fourth pretty handily, I think. So, I mean, he's Tate should have been in the finals of that tournament. I think just didn't wrestle real well. Didn't take enough risk early on in the match against that kid. But it looks good. Looks really good. They're doing a really good job, and I think he's right on the bubble. I think he's like the honorable mention. So he's right close to top 10 there. So
nice. I'm real excited to see what's going to happen with him this year. All right, let's talk a little bit about this weekend. You got coming up. You're going up to Ohio. You're stomping grounds.
Alliance, Ohio.
Alliance, Ohio. The Mount Union duels. Mount Union is a very strong program. You're wrestling. You start off the day at 10 a.m. with Washington and Jefferson. I noticed that they've got a couple kids that are ranked.
Yep, I think they have 2 or 3 kids ranked in the top 25 or top 20 in the country. So we'll get tested there. I think. I know their lightweights, 25 and 33, are pretty good. So our guys get tested there, and I believe they have one other kid ranked somewhere along the line, 57 or something. So, I think it should be a good test for us. Up and down there, a lot of Pittsburgh kids. So they're going to be able to wrestle. So.
Well, I noticed 3 of the schools that you're wrestling are from Pennsylvania. You've got W&J at 10 a.m. At 11:30. You've got Lycoming, another strong, traditionally strong power. Teal out of Pennsylvania. You've got them at 1 o'clock, and then you host Mount Union, and they're a ranked program as well. So looks like that's going to be a real test for your program.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, the number of matches too. I think it's important. We get 4 matches in a span of 4 or 5 hours. So I think it's the guys are just going to have to win or lose. You're going to have to bounce back, put that last match out of their mind, and focus on the one form, because every match is going to be. Every one of those weights is going to be competitive and be good matches.
Sure. And I know it's hard, when you wrestle against those tough teams, you know, if you get a bad loss and everything, come back and hurt you a second time. But I know sometimes it can also hurt you if you get a good, nice win over
Right.
a ranked kid,
Right.
and you go into the next match feeling a little too good about yourself and everything. As a coach, how do you deal with keeping them on an even keel throughout the day?
Well, I think that's the hard thing to do with freshmen, especially. I mean, older guy, I'm not worried about like you know, Meister or Zimmerman or Cunningham, because those guys, and Tate, because those guys, they kind of know how to handle losses. They've lost before, so for them, it's easy. It's the young guys who you try to get them not to feel sorry for themselves, or you know, be too hard on themselves.
Right, right.
You got to be even keel, especially a day like this. You got to be even keel and, you know, not put too much thought on each match. Just go out there and wrestle hard for each one. And,
Sure.
we're going to shake the lineup a little bit every duel. You know, we're not going to probably have the same lineup for every duel meet. So give, well, you know, some guys a break here and there if we can afford it. You know, I want to win too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So obviously this isn't the end all be all, but at the same time, I want to make sure you know, we put the most competitive team out there we can and try to win all of them. So.
Okay. All right, a week later, you guys are heading up to York, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Very, very tough tournament. The New Standard Invitational. York College up in Pennsylvania is the host. Talk a little bit. I know last year we went up that. Probably not as good a showing as you wanted to see last
Awful.
year.
You don't have to sugarcoat it, Gary. It was awful. You know, we got,
I'm the host of the show. I'm supposed to sugarcoat things if I can help it.
We got exposed a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To where we were as a program. And I think it was good. That's why we went there, you know, and that's why we did it again. We're going to go again this year. You know, I think it won't be a shock to our guys this year. Like, you know, I think we got pinned so many times. It was unbelievable, you know, and it kind of showed lack of fight, you know. And I think our team and our team dynamic's a lot different this year. So I think it will fare a lot better. But you know, we just got to go out there. We got to wrestle hard, and I think it's even better this year. I think a couple teams left, and they brought in a couple really good teams. So. It should be, I think we finished 13th out of 14th or 13th out of 15th last year. And so this year, you know, a lot can change in 3 weeks. So, you know, especially with freshmen, they'll get better. You know, and I think a perfect example last year is the Pete Wilson. You know, we looked awful at Virginia Duels. 2 weeks later, we go to Pete Wilson. After the first round, I think we were in second and third place as a team.
Sure.
Out of 40 teams, you know. And
you had 3 place winners.
Exactly, yeah. And we had finished, I think, 8th or 9th in the tournament. So, I mean, we're right there. We just got, you know, it's a lot can change in 3 weeks, and especially with the young team, you know, I think they're only going to get better, you know, especially as hard as these guys work.
Sure.
So, yep.
Okay. Well, we'll be excited about coming back here next week, talking a little bit about the recap from the duels out there in Ohio,
Right. Yep.
and talk a little bit more about that tournament up there in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Great. Well, listen.
Thanks, Gary.
Good luck to you up there.
Appreciate it.
Folks, we'll be back next week with another issue of Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host, Gary Holden. For Nate Yetzer and I, please have a great week and a great Thanksgiving.